What's up, guys? And in today's video we're going to be doing this USACO 2019 Junior Contest Bronze problem, and this is going to be called Shell Game. So basically we're going to start by talking about the problem, then we're going to start designing it, and then we're going to actually code it. Before I actually get into this, I just want to say that it's so thrilling to be back on YouTube and re-uploading. I think the last video I made was like 9 months ago, and that was like a Java video. And now I'm back with a coding banger, a USACO banger. This is gonna be the start of my USACO solve playlist. So if I'm gonna be starting making more USACOs, so like in the future, if you just want to go look at my playlist, you can go look at that. But anyways, today we're going to be doing this problem, and we're going to be going through the whole, the whole coding, everything, the whole design process, basically the entire process you go through on the actual contest day. But anyways, I'd just like to say that there's going to be time stamps below, so if you want to skip through the video, just like, alright, I just want to see the code, just press that timestamp, whichever one you want, and you'll be you can just skip right through the video. So let's just get right into it, and this will be coded in C++. It's going to be epic. Alright, so here we go. To pass the time, Bessie the cow and her friend Elsie like to play a version of the game they saw at the county fair. To start, Bessie puts 3 inverted shells on a table and places a small round pebble under one of them. Elsie hopes it was a pebble she found on the ground in one of the pastures. Bessie then proceeds to swap a pair of shells while Elsie guesses the location of the pebble. The standard version of the game the cow saw being played at the county fair allowed the player to see the initial location of the pebble and then required guessing its final location after all the swaps are complete. However, the cows like to play a version where Elsie does not know the initial location of the pebble and where she can guess the pebble location after every swap. Bessie, knowing the right answer, gives Elsie a score at the end equal to the number of correct guesses she made. Given that swaps in the guesses but not the initial pebble location, please determine the highest possible score Elsie could have earned. So here's what we're going to be looking at. So this is shell.in, pretty standard stuff. So the first line of input contains the integer n, given the number of swaps through the range of 1 through 100. Each of the next n lines describe a set of the game that contains 3 integers, a, b, and g, indicating that shells a and b were swapped by Bessie, and then Elsie guessed shell g after the swap was made. All 3 of these integers are either 1, 2, or 3, and a does not equal b. Alright, so let's just talk about a few key things. So the second I saw this, please determine the highest possible score, I was like, alright, we're going to have to definitely use max somewhere in this code. And basically, max is an operand that returns the greatest number of a set of values. So let's say, let me just actually go into my design really quick. So let's say you have let's say that you have a max operand, right? Let's give a max operand. Alright. Just make this, yeah, alright. Let's say you have a max operand, right? Alright, let's say you have a max operand. And in this parentheses are going to define whatever value. So let's say we have 4 and 5. Then this is going to return 5. Because what max does is it checks, okay, what is the greatest value in the set of whatever you put in the parentheses or the parameters. And since 5 is the greatest, it's going to return 5. Now this is going to be extremely helpful in some part, which I don't know yet, but in some part of the code where we are going to have to check, alright, we have one set of guess and another set, what is the highest set of guess, and we can use max for that. But now let's actually get into the actual designing process. So let's essentially draw what they're showing us. So we have 3 shells, 1, 2, and 3. Oh my god, my shells got progressively worse as I drew them. Jesus. Alright. Alright. Not an artist, by the way. But here we go. So we have 3 shells. We have 1, 2, and then we have the number of guesses, or the guess, right? Essentially. So we're basically only, and they even said it, we're only swapping 1 and 2. We're only swapping shells 1 and 2, so that's all we need to worry about. But the location of the pebble, so wherever the pebble is located right now, can either be in 1, 2, or in 3. So it can be either 1, 2, or 3. So let's say that the location of the pebble was in 1. Since we're swapping 1 and 2, if the location was in 1, we're going to make the location now in 2. But what if the location was in 2? Then we're going to make the location to 1. So this is actually going to be, so let me draw an arrow really quick. So we're swapping these two shells right here. So if this location of if the pebble is in the location of shell 1, then after we swap, where will the pebble be? It'll be in shell 2, right? But if it's in shell 2, then after the swap, it'll be in shell 1. So to code that, I'm actually going to show you like a snippet of what we might need to include. So let's actually write. So we'll have like a variable called location, and that will essentially say where's the pebble located. So if the location is actually equal to if the pebble's location is actually equal to 1, then we're going to make shell 2 equal to the location, right? But if this happens for shell 2 instead, so let's say that the location was actually in shell 2, we'll just do the same thing but inversed, right? Then if it's in shell 2, we'll just make it swap back to shell 1. And this is what we're essentially showing right here. So this code is probably going to be something crucial when we start coding. So let's now actually go into but obviously actually another thing to consider is that what if the pebble is located in this guess? Well, if that happens, then essentially what we do is we have like some variable called guesses. Then we'll just increment guesses by 1 or guesses plus plus, since this is a guess. And if the location was actually in the guess that Elsie guessed, right? If the location was actually in the shell 3 and Elsie guesses shell 3 or this shell, then we'll just have to make shell increase by 1 or guess increase by 1 or do guesses plus plus. Alright, so now this is the essential design of the code that we're going to have to do. But now let's actually code it. So I'm going to be using Replit for this code. And this is going to be, as I said, in C++. So if you have like any other languages that you use, sorry about that, but this will only be written in C++. Alright, here we go. So we have fstream, istream, and namespace, and we have algorithm to do the max, like I showed you. So this is just regular template stuff, right? So here we go. Int main. Now I think we're gonna start off by just reading in, or just creating the integers and just reading them in. So we have int n, and we have a, b, and g, right? And since actually n is in the range of 1 through 100, we're gonna have to make each of these in the range of 100. 100, 100, and 100. Alright, so we have these, and now what we do is we can actually actually before I do this I have to set the in and out. So we do that by saying in stream, and that's going to be in. I can just say fn, and that'll be shell.in, and then off stream out shell.out. Yeah, shell.out, right? So, oh wait, this should be if stream. Off stream. Alright. Off. I don't know. My typing is so bad today. Alright, there we go. Alright, so off stream. I've forgotten a. Oh my god. Alright, there we go. Holy crap. If stream, off stream, essential things. So now we can actually read in n, right? But we cannot read in these, and the reason for that is we don't know how many lines we need to read. So we can do that really quickly by using a for loop, and that for loop is essentially going to say declare, this is the int I is equal to 0, and now we're going to save when I is less than n, so whatever amount of lines, whenever I gets to the number of lines, we're going to stop the for loop, right? And we're going to increment I by 1. And now we can actually read in these variables, and we're going to just copy this right here. But instead of using 100 in each of these, we use I. Because we're essentially saying whatever the I value is right now, whatever loop we're on right now, that's how many times we're going to read in these variables. So that's how we essentially read these three variables in. So now we do is we have to find out, all right, what are we going to output, right? And that's going to be the highest amount of guesses, the max amount of guesses. So I'm actually going to call that max. Actually, I'll call that highest, because max would be a bit confusing since we're already going to make a highest. And I'm going to set that equal to 0 right now. And oh wait, this should be outside of the for loop. My bad. Wait, this should be. There we go. Alright, so we can actually make this right here. So we're going to set highest equal to 0, right? And forgot to declare these as ints. Set highest equal to 0. And now we can make highest, and now this is where we bring in our max function, right? When highest is equal to the max. So what is the max amount? What is the max number of guesses, right? Or the best number of guesses. So that's going to be highest. And then another variable, which is going to be actually all the swaps. Like, you know how I showed you all the swaps in the design mode? I think what we'll do is we'll make another method, and that, let's just call that like solution. So let's make it like solution, and that's gonna be I, right? Or sorry, yeah, solution, and this should actually be in the for loop. Yes, alright. Sorry, this should be inside of a for loop. Sorry, now we create another for loop, and this for loop is gonna look something like this. But the thing is, we're going to make I less than 4 and I++. And now what we do is we essentially say, alright, so essentially what we're doing is we have the 3 shells, right? So we're going to be iterating through every single shell till we find the highest solution, right? Till we find the max number of guesses. So that's essentially what this is saying. Now we haven't defined the method solution, so let's go ahead and do that right now. And actually, I think what we'll have to do is take this and declare this outside, so both methods can use it. So now we're going to make another method, and this is going to be called obviously solution, as you saw. And that's going to be called and then we're going to call an I value in that. And that's what this I value is gonna. Use, right? This I value is gonna use whatever int I we're declaring here, and this I is gonna be whatever I value this in this for loop, whatever I value on right now. So now we're going to start by saying. So why is there here? All right. Okay. So we're gonna start by doing all the swaps that we showed, right? And to do the swaps, we're gonna start off with an if statement, or sorry, a for loop. And this for loop is essentially gonna be the same thing as this for loop. Actually, no, the exact same thing as this for loop. So let's just take this for loop and put that right here. So, and we'll delete all this. So this for loop is essentially saying, all right, I is equal to 0 when I is less than n. I is going to be incremented by 1. And now what we do is we're going to do all the swap cases that I showed. So let me quickly show that just one more time. So you see how this part right here, like if the location was at 1, we're going to swap it to 2. If it was at 2, we're going to swap it back to 1. That whole part is what we're going to code in this solution main method, or the solution method. So we're going to start off with the if statement, and we're going to actually, alright, so something that I forgot is we're going to set location. Alright, so we actually need 2 variables. We're actually going to need a location variable. We're going to set that equal to 0. And we're also going to need a guesses variable like I showed in the design. Guesses equals 0. Because what if the location is actually at shell 3? Then we're actually have to increment guesses by 1, right? So we're going to have a location and a guesses. And then you already know, since we have a guesses, we're going to have to return guesses. Alright. Now we have a int. Okay. So now we have this if loop. And what we're going to say is if the location, if A is the location, we're going to make it B. But if B is the location, we're going to make it A. So we're going to say that by if A of I equals location, then location will actually equal to B of I. And now we're going to do this whole thing 3 times, but instead, let me make this, whoops, did not mean to run a code. Alright, there we go. Alright, I don't know why I accidentally ran this. Alright, but instead we're going to make this B of I, and this is going to be A of I. And this is going to be the guesses. Remember the guesses? So if the guesses is actually equal to the location, we're going to actually increment guesses by 1. And we do that by guesses plus plus. Alright, and then we return guesses at the end, right? So this is essentially, the entire part is the swap case that we showed in the design. So now all we have to do is we got the highest. What is the highest, right? If the highest is essentially the value that we're going to output, sorry, I'm not even thinking right now, but if the value we're going to output is called highest, if that value is actually 0, because the max number of guesses she can actually do is 0, right? So if 0 is actually the highest number of guesses, we're going to output that. But if whatever this swap case, whatever guesses is right now, is actually the highest, we're going to output guesses. And we're going to set guesses equal to highest. So that's essentially what this piece of code is saying. So now all we do is our favorite f out, last bit of code, highest, and then endl. And now we should be good to go. But let me just see if there's any last errors. We have solution in I. Alright. There's a bunch of space here. I'm just going to delete some of it. Okay. Okay. Yep. So this looks pretty good. So let's just run it. I don't think it's going to be doing anything because I've been running my Replit for a while and Replit's not exactly working right now. Let's just see if it does anything. So let's just copy this sample input. Just copy this, and then I'm going to paste this right here. Yeah. It's just saying this bash thing for me. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'm going to have to fix it. But I think what we can do is we can just download this as a zip and test it. Let's download. And now let's go here. Let's choose C++, choose file, downloads main. Alright, and now let's submit the solution. Alright, pray to God that we get it. Let's go. Oh, alright, let's see what we did wrong. So we got 1, but the correct answer was 2. Insert location and guesses. Guesses equal location. Location, guesses, guesses. Yes, I actually found the error. So actually, we were supposed to make location equal I and not 0. So now that we fixed that, hopefully it should work. The reason, actually, let me explain why. So the reason we have to set location is equal to I, because we don't actually have a definite place to where the location is, obviously, right? But whatever value this I is right now, that's what we're putting into this solution method, and that's what location is going to be equal to. So if the shell right now, so this is basically showing what shell we're on. So if we're on shell 1, then location will be equal to 1. If we're on shell 2, then location will be equal to 2. So that's essentially why location should be equal to I. This is supposed to be G of I, not guesses of I. That is such a stupid mistake. Alright, I don't even know how I didn't realize that. That is something else. Because I keep on getting confused with the G and the guess, like, because G sounds like guesses, you know, so I put guesses. This is supposed to be just guesses plus plus, not location equals. Alright, here we go. Alright, moment of truth. Moment of truth, here we go. There we go. Alright. Alright, well, we did it, guys. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this USACO video. If you need more USACO problem solution tutorials, just leave a comment and I'll make on whatever like specific one you want. You can just type it in and I'll make a video and I'll make a solution on that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.